answer lies in the heart of battle.
King of Iron Fist Tournament.
Mugen TV versus Corner.
Welcome to the stage of history retold.
Hey everyone, this is MugenLord here, and today I want to have a bit of fun. I want to think about the possibilities of Capcom creating their own kind of Smash Bros. Franchise. Besides Nintendo, I believe Capcom has a ton of iconic and unfamiliar franchises that would make a fun brawler that could possibly stand on its own. Most would call a game like this Capcom Fighting All-Stars or something, so I guess we could stick with that name. Now let's think about the setup. In order for us to explore this idea, first we need to set up a foundation or platform for this game to exist on. I would say that this game will work perfectly on all three major consoles and including the PC. Crossplay between the platforms would definitely be ideal. It bridges together all platforms to create a much bigger community, which hopefully keeps the lifespan of the game alive much longer. Now that we have this setup out the way, how would this gameplay work? Now, I know in this title of the video I said Smash Brothers kind of game. I didn't mean in the sense of gameplay, but in the sense of bringing together all Capcom franchises into one unified universe. Now, Smash Brothers gameplay utilizes a 2D playing field where the goal is to knock your opponent off the stage into all four corners of the screen, which is known as the blast zone. It's a pretty unique concept that many other competitors try to replicate, but oftentimes fail, while some others will succeed. So I believe Capcom shouldn't replicate what Nintendo has done, but instead utilize and explore a gameplay style they already have in their arsenal, but explore it a bit farther. So what gameplay style should Capcom use for their all-star brawler, you ask? In my opinion, they should definitely go the route of Power Stone in terms of gameplay and unique level design with fully transitional stages and interactable environments. Up to this point, I don't think we'll ever see a Power Stone 3, and if that's the case, then why not take that same concept and just apply it to an all-star brawler fighting style kind of game? So let's take a look at some of the things that could be handled with this. Now let's tackle the controls. Now I did mention that the game will be released on all three major platforms and the PC, but for simplicity's sake, let's go with the PlayStation 4 controller. Here are the control inputs for the game. Square button equals light attack, triangle equals heavy attack, circle equals unique attack, plus pick up items, X button equals jump, L1 equals shield, L2 equals anti-air, L3 equals custom, meaning that you can pretty much customly map the L3 button to any configuration that you like. R1 equals grab, R2 equals super art, and R3, which is similar to L3 with the custom. Then you have light attack plus jump simultaneously at the same time equals anti-air attack. Heavy attack plus unique attack equals grab. Light attack plus heavy attack plus unique attack equals super arts. So these are the manual versions of how you can implement some of these gameplay mechanics. Then you have the left stick, which allows you to move the character. The left stick, while holding the shield, allows you to strap the character in any direction you like. Now that we have the controls out of the way, if you have any controller next to you while watching this video, try holding the controller and imagine if this control setup works for you or not. You can't have a brawler without an established roster. Since it's the first game of the series, it will be best to pick out some iconic characters in Capcom's history while leaving room for some obscure characters. So there will be a total of 34 characters in this roster. 12 out of the 34 characters will be unlockable. So here are the franchises and its characters that will be part of the Capcom Fighting All-Stars roster. Franchises. First we have Street Fighter series, which includes Ryu, Chun-Li, and Bison, and Bison will be an unlockable character. Now, I know some of you may question my choices of characters as far as Street Fighter is concerned, but I believe that this is pretty much a solid choice for the base roster. Ryu, of course, is the iconic main character, hero of the Street Fighter franchise, so it makes sense to add Ryu. Chun-Li, she's the queen of Street Fighter. She's the first actual female fighter in the Street Fighter franchise, so it makes sense to add her. And of course, Bison is the iconic boss, the iconic baddie for the franchise. So these three will be a perfect choice to start in the base roster. Now we're going to move on to the Mega Man series. Now there are so many different Mega Man series that I couldn't hardly choose just one of them. I had to cherry pick a few of them. So starting, of course, we have to definitely go with the classic Mega Man from the Mega Man series, and then we move over to the X series and grab Zero, because in my opinion I think Zero is the much more popular one besides Mega Man X. And then we go to the Mega Man Legends, or aka Mega Man Volnut series, and grab Miss Trombone, and Miss Trombone will definitely be the unlockable character from this franchise. Then we're going to move on to Ghosts and Ghouls series, which will have Arthur and of course Firebrand, and Firebrand will definitely be that unlockable character to represent Ghosts and Ghouls. Then we have the Captain Commando series. Now in the Captain Commando series, I'm not really too familiar with his game, and I haven't really played Captain Commando at all in the arcades, but I also played Captain Commando as a character in the Marvel vs. Capcom series. So Captain Commando would definitely be in the base roster. Then we have the Strider series. Now the funny thing is, I was very familiar with Strider back in the day on the Sega Genesis, but never got a chance to play his game, and I was reintroduced to the character in the Marvel vs. Capcom series. So in the base roster, Strider would definitely be represented in this game. Then we're going to, of course, go to Power Stones. Now the thing is, this game and this whole idea of Capcom Fighting All-Stars that I'm going with was pretty much built off the foundation of Power Stone, so it makes sense to have some Power Stone representation here. So the characters that we represent in the Power Stone series will be Falcon, Rouge, and Vulgus. Vulgus is the main boss, the main antagonist of the first Power Stone game, so he'll definitely be an unlockable character. Then we have the Resident Evil series. Now the Resident Evil series is pretty much hard for me to choose what characters exactly, but from my history and from my experience with Resident Evil, as far as the popular characters is concerned, I believe with the recent, especially RE2 remake, it would make sense to have Leon Kennedy as the playable character. Then we have Resident Evil Nemesis. Since then, Resident Evil Nemesis has been pretty popular amongst fans, and not just that, he's been a playable character, and of course, Marvel vs. Capcom. So Nemesis will be the baddie representing the series, and then Jill Valentine pretty much has a big following, a big fan base, and it will make sense to have Jill Valentine represent Resident Evil 1, and she'll be an unlockable character. Then we're going to move on to Beautiful Joe. Now, Beautiful Joe had pretty much had 3 games. He had 2 mainline series, and he had a party game, a multiplayer game. So I figured that, hey, why not? Beautiful Joe is one of those obscure franchises, pretty niche, and only people who are deep into the Capcom games and are deeply Capcom fans, we recognize Beautiful Joe. So it would make sense to have him be represented in the base roster. Next, we have Amaterasu. Now, I never played Amaterasu games at all. Amaterasu had pretty much had a sequel. Also, the game was pretty much remastered on the Nintendo Wii. Then they had the Wii U version of the game and everything. So it makes sense to have this character be represented, but you would have to unlock this character. Then the Devil May Cry series. Now, the Devil May Cry series, I haven't really played Devil May Cry. I watched my brothers play them and stuff, but I have respect for the series, and I just wanted to play it safe and go with Dante and Trish as playable characters. Now, I know many of you may not agree with this. There are plenty of other characters like Nero, Lady, and a few other characters like Virgil and any other characters that I may have missed. But I wanted to play it safe and just go with these two. Now, we go with a more obscure series that most people pretty much not familiar with unless you're an old school Capcom fan. We have the Breath of Fire series. Breath of Fire series is pretty much an RPG, and this is pretty much Capcom's Final Fantasy series. So I decided to pull characters from Breath of Fire, starting with Fulo, which will be an unlockable character. He's pretty much one of the main antagonists, I guess you say protagonists at the same time. He represented the Breath of Fire 4 series game. And then you have Nina. Nina has pretty much been represented throughout every last Breath of Fire game. And I decided, hey, why not pull Nina from Breath of Fire 4 as well? And then, of course, we have to have the Monster Hunter series, and we have the female Monster Hunter added to the game. Now, Monster Hunter has pretty much been, I guess you could say, the pillar for recent Capcom, since Monster Hunter has pulled in tons of money and everything, so it makes sense to have Monster Hunter be represented in the main roster. Now we're going to go on to another obscure series, which is Cyberbots, and I decided to add Jin Satome. Now, Jin Satome, like I said, I've never really played Cyberbots before, but I'm familiar with this character because of Marvel vs. Capcom, and he has been one of my mains ever since then, and I think he'll be perfect to add in the base roster of this game, and plus he's a representative of an obscure franchise from Capcom. And then we have Princess Doublet as an unlockable character from Cyberbots as well, so I think that'll be a perfect fit. And then we're going to move on to Darkstalker series, and the characters that represent the Darkstalker series will definitely be Morgan and Dimitri. I know the choices are pretty safe, but I'm pretty familiar with these two characters. I could have picked John Talbane or BB Hood, but I think Morgan and Dimitri will fit perfect for this. Plus Dimitri will be an unlockable character. Then we're going to move on to Red Earth. And Red Earth is another obscure fighting game from Capcom that most people would not be familiar with, but I think it'll be perfect to represent its franchise and series within this game. So the two characters will be Leo and then Tessa. Tessa will be the unlockable character. And then, of course, we have Rival Schools. Rival Schools is another franchise that I hold very dear to my heart. Always been a fan of Rival Schools and still waiting for its return someday. And hopefully we'll eventually get this, but the two characters that I would like to see represent Rival Schools will be Batsu and Hinata. I think that'll be pretty cool. And then, of course, we have Final Fight. Final Fight is another franchise that everyone is pretty much familiar with, especially if you're an old school Capcom fan and been playing in the arcades. Final Fight will be perfect, and the representatives of Final Fight will be Cody, Mike Hager, and of course Guy will be an unlockable character. Then, last but not least, for the base roster, we have another obscure franchise, which is Saturday Slam Masters. Saturday Slam Masters is another Capcom franchise that fit within the Rival Schools, Street Fighter, and Final Fight lore, and this is the wrestling federation which Mike Hager had came from before he became mayor. So I figured that, hey, why not add this franchise in there, and Scorp will be an unlockable character. So this will be a game series that you would have to unlock. Of course, you cannot have an All-Stars Brawler without some DLC, so we're going to step into the DLC realm right now. Now, come on, we talking about Capcom here. This is a Capcom franchise. Capcom love their DLC, so why not add that in there? So as far as DLC is concerned, we have the Phoenix Wright series, which Phoenix Wright will be the representative of this franchise. Now, the DLC characters will include not only the character, but will include some music and, of course, a stage. So we have the Phoenix Wright character, and his music soundtrack with various different tracks, and of course a stage. I wanted to follow this blueprint similar to the fighter patch from Smash Bros. Ultimate. Then we have the Son Goku Basara series, which we add Yukimura, and of course include his music and stage. And then we have Asora's Wrath, which we have Asora, which include his music and stage. Then we have the Dino Crisis series, which include Regina, her music and her stage. And then, of course, we're going to have Onimusha series, which is from Onimusha 4, Saki the Blue Demon, which his music and stage. And, of course, Bionic Commando series, which we will have the original Spencer, not the up-to-date Spencer from the most recent Bionic Commando, and, of course, the Spencer that was represented in Marvel vs. Capcom, which I really dislike. But we're talking about the original from the NES days, the original Spencer. And then, of course, we can't have a Capcom All-Star Fighting game without the Dead Rising series, which is Frank Rest, his music and stage. And then, of course, we need Plasma Sword, aka Star Gladiator, which was the original name on the PS1, which we'll have Hayato. We have him being represented here with a music and stage. And then we have the God Hand series, which I'm not really too familiar with, but I've seen played on the PS2 back in the day. We have Gene, and we have music and the stage representative of the God Hand series. And then, of course, last but not least, we have Chaos Legion, with the main protagonist C, and we include his music and stage. Now, of course, we can definitely break these franchises into like seasons. Phoenix Wright, Son Goku Basara, Sora's Wrath, Dino Crisis, and Onimusha for season 1. So there'll be 5 characters for season 1. And then we have Bionic Commando, Dead Rising, Plasma Sword, God Hand, and Chaos Legion to represent season 2 of DLC for this game. And then, last but not least, you cannot be a Capcom game unless you have to make a final edition or a final version of the game. And with this final edition and final version, it will be packaged with additional characters to seal the whole entire franchise, or the seal, the final support for the game. And this final edition will include Hiryu from Breath of Fire 3, which includes a music track, and it also includes Sigma from Mega Man X. It will include a music and the stage, and then it will include Black Widow from Saturday Slam Masters, which includes some music. And then the other character will be Virgil from Devil May Cry, which includes some music. And of course, this was also hard up for the debate. I'd like to hear in the comment section what character you like to represent as DLC from Street Fighter. But I selected Guile and his famous iconic music, which I think will be perfect for Capcom Fighting All-Stars. And then of course, the final character to add into this final complete edition, or the final wrap up for this, would be Kyosuke from Rival Schools, which is the third partner added to Batsu and Hinata. So that pretty much a total of 50 characters for this franchise, or for this game out the gate. You have the base roster, then you have your DLC, then you have the final characters packaged in the final completion of the game. Now, let's move on to gameplay real quick. Now, if you haven't played Power Stone, it's pretty much an arena kind of fighter where you can fully maneuver across various different level designs and take advantage of the environmental hazards or objects littered throughout the stage. Well, in my version of Capcom All-Stars, players will be able to perform different combos by pressing the light, heavy, and sometimes unique attack in different sequences. Guarding and positioning will also play a role in gameplay, which will allow players who like competitive play to sink their teeth into. Now, each player will have an individual health bar, which will drain when taking damage. Once it's empty, the player is KO'd. Super Arts can be toggled using a meter or by collecting 3 Capcom All-Star Emeralds. Once that happens, press the Super Arts button to perform your powerful attack. Then let's move on to stages, because stages will definitely play a role in this, and I think this would make this game much more unique. Now, some stages will have stage transitions similar to Power Stone. This unique transition to stages made Power Stone a unique brawler in my opinion. I think stages like a Shadow Loot base or Tron Bond's airship will be a pretty cool thing to take advantage of when it comes to stage transitions. Now, some stages could be affected if players meet certain conditions within the stage, which I think will be pretty cool. And of course, you can turn off the hazards and even select which stage transition you would like to battle on. Now, in this game, up to 4 to 8 players will be able to battle it out on much bigger stages. The game is played with 4 players by default. There will be stages specifically tailored towards 8 players, similar to Smash Wii U. Of course, there is 2v2 team play for those who love to play co-op. Then, for more serious players, you can also play 1v1. Let's move on to online gameplay, because the online features is what everyone wants to know. There will be lobbies for friends to create and gather to spectate, and also a full-on replay channel will be available for players to save and share replays. You will have quick matches for those who just want to jump into some quick matches with random players. Then you will have 3 kinds of rank matches as well, which is one you will have for 1v1, you will have rank stats for 2v2, and also for free-for-all. Each mode will have their own separate ranks. Then, of course, we'll have story modes, which will follow a linear storyline of how the Capcom characters ended up in this crossover. Then we will have arcade mode, which you can play through an arcade ladder, which is followed by a bonus stage, sub-boss, and final boss. This is where you can unlock items, characters, color palettes, and other goodies. And of course, you can't have some single player experience without survival mode and training mode. But this is pretty much all that I can come up with. And I definitely want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your ideas, because I've been really thinking about this. I've been having fun with this in my head. And I think it's something that I think a lot of companies should start jumping on board with, having their own all-star fighting game and add their own flair, add their own touches to it. I mean, Sony did attempt to do it, but they tried so much not to be similar to Smash Brothers, to the point where they was taking too many risks, which was unnecessary. Which the game had its fun moments, but it did drop the ball, and a lot of people left the game alone. And as far as the competitive scene was for that game, it pretty messed it up, and it became very unbalanced and broken. But I really think that Capcom does have enough characters to start their own brawler and adopt the gameplay style, in my opinion, from Power Stone. We don't need a 2D fighter like a Street Fighter or a versus game fighting style with all the characters from Capcom. I think a nice brawler party type game, I think it'll be fun. You know, you can have some competitive play to it, and you can also have some sit back and relax and just mess around with friends and have a good time and play with other players. I think this would be a nice approach. I think it would be accessible for players who are casuals to get into it, and then the hardcore who are die-hard dedicated fans to the Capcom franchise, that Capcom brands, and for them to dive in and get into. I think it'd be cool, and to see a competitive scene shaped around it, because I believe a game like this could be competitive. I've seen competitive Power Stone, and competitive Power Stone was pretty fun and it's pretty cool. So I think this can definitely work. So I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. I want to hear your thoughts and what you think about my approach to a Capcom Fighting All-Stars. I want to hear what you think and how would you go about it if you wanted to create a Capcom Fighting All-Stars. Put your ideas down in the comment sections. And as far as the characters that I selected for this game, let me know if the choices were too safe, or do you think I could have chose some other characters? What characters that I could have taken out? What franchises that I could have put in and took out? Definitely like to hear that. If you like these type of videos, let me know in the comment section below, because I would definitely like to do other videos like this where I create different gameplay styles and different scenarios and situations with different games. I think that would be fun. But that wraps this up. Also, like and share, pass the video around, and also hit the bell to be notified for more videos in the future. This is MugenLord signing off. See you Game Fiends later. Peace out. It looks like you reached the end of the video. Well, while you're at it, check out some of my other discussion videos by clicking on the annotations below, and don't forget to follow me on other social media platforms to stay up to date with future content. Signing off.